To start this video off, I would like to thank Steve Prime for reaching out to me for this review. I had almost given up hope on the concept of helping out new channels by reviewing them. I figured by the lack of reception, either my first review wasn't something that the community needed or wanted, or maybe the concept was right, but my delivery was what was unwanted. I mean, I didn't hear back from the first channel to either thank me or damn me until about a week after the video dropped. And then he did reach out to thank me, by the way. Anyway, I had just shrugged it off and was working on my many other avenues of entertainment when I received a detailed email from a YouTuber asking me to review their channel. I thought, why not? And followed their link to the video they chose to represent their channel. And oh boy, did I find something unique. Before I get started with the titular title, if you are a new YouTube channel and would like your channel reviewed by me in a similar manner as this, then check the description below to see how to get into contact with me and what information I need from you. Also, if you could, subscribe to this channel and like this video. By doing that, you are showing me and the many other young YouTube channels that this could be a way to get themselves known, as long as they don't mind constructive criticism. And I believe this is the most important part. Share this video with people and communities that have channels and just want someone to take time to look at their work. I know that I would have loved the chance to have someone review my first channel back in the day. Thank you for your time. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Reviews, kittens, video games, makeup, people eating, people fighting, politics, and tutorials make up the vast majority of the YouTube fields these days. So you can imagine how exciting it was for me to receive a message from a YouTuber that wanted to be reviewed and to find out that his genre was none of those previously mentioned. Not that there's anything wrong with any of those markets, it's just nice to see something different. And oh boy, is this different. Sure, there are channels out there in a similar vein as this one, but not exactly the same. I'll get into that in a bit. First, let's dive right in so you can see for yourself.
Okay, I hope this works. Log entry 1. My name is Kala Suvomir. The world is gone. I hid myself. I knew it would come to this. I had always known. But no one believed me. Too mighty to be eradicated in a single day. Only fools would think that highly of themselves. Why didn't they listen? Oh God, my parents, my family, my friends were just gone. I'll log off.
The log entries should have a time, date, name, and name of the facility or bunker that you are in. This would help the viewer to feel as though they have more control over their understanding as to what is going on and when it is happening. Nothing too detailed, just the character's name spelled out for us, so that we can have a constant connection between the protagonist and the name, because nobody is going to remember his name by the time even the second log entry happens, as they try to follow along with what's happening. I honestly can't remember his name already, but that's because I'm pretty dense. So, you've established your name and the fact that everyone was eradicated in one day, but we don't know why. We also know nothing of the character other than nobody listened to him. Who is he that needed to be listened to? What did he know? What does he know? What should we know? I know that this originated for a D&D campaign, where the players would find each entry detailing something from the past. With these types of log entries, it is absolutely best to leave a lot of mystery, but you have to understand that in the settings of a D&D campaign, the players would be receiving a lot more information that they themselves would be discovering to form their own understanding by observing the environment, enemies, sounds, encounters, NPCs, and the like. As a viewer of a video that has all the log entries in one video already, we need more insight that replaces those things that a player would receive.
New log entry. I've been developing a machine. Well, more of an item if you will. But it would be something that could bring back my race. But I've run into somewhat of a roadblock. You see, there's just so little things to use as a power source. And, well, I can't exactly leave my bunker. I mean, who knows what's out there? If something survived, which most likely did. Wait. I'm getting an idea. If there's at least something out there, then it would have a soul, right? But, no, I can't even go there. Shouldn't even go there. A soul is a precious being. I have to search for a different way. Maybe praying to the gods would help. I'll have to test that.
What's the machine supposed to do exactly? Again, mystery is great, but we, as a viewer, need to know a bit more details, even if vague, that could clue us into a little bit of what's going on. That said, speaking of not wanting to use souls as a power source is a great way to lead into the madness that will shortly come to our protagonist here. It requires no further information. It's the same as explaining something as just magic. I'm good with that. It's magic. I don't need to know more. Speaking on praying to the gods to gain further knowledge is, in the same vein as speaking of souls, a great way to lead into what is to come. I've decided to use this log entry to discuss a few things that doesn't involve the story. 1. And this is more about your audio-only videos than it is this one, but would help with these videos as well. You're using Audacity for your vocal recording and editing. This is fine for the most part. A lot of people use Audacity, and once people learn how to use it, it works just fine for them. I used to use it as well, but found myself growing tired of tweaking things to get the sounds I wanted from my voice. Too muddy. Well, start over and try this effect. Too twangy. Undo and try again. I watched a dozen YouTube tutorials and I finally came up with something that sounded close enough to what I wanted my vocal EQ to sound like. I decided to check out some alternatives, especially after I began narrating books for Audible. I found a fairly inexpensive program called Reaper. I'm pretty sure I paid $100 for it when I bought the license, but now it's only $60. I promise you that the product is well worth the price. You can tweak your FX on the fly with no need to undo anything because nothing is permanent with the program. There are tons of great tutorials on YouTube that teaches you all of the ins and outs of the program too. I watched Booth Junkie's tutorial on how to set it up just for voiceover work, and I'm still using those settings to this day. Check it out, you won't regret it. While we're on the discussion of dropping money, let's also talk about your camera. This visual quality isn't going to get you very far. The frames are way too low and the resolution is just too blurry for it to work right for you. You can search Amazon and find a 1080p webcam for around $30 US, or just use your smartphone if you have one. Add that to Reaper and you're still under $100. I know that you may not have the money on you right now, and that's fine. There are things that you can do while you are forced to use your laptop camera that can help mask the bad quality. For one, you could sit down in front of the camera and add a visual overlay that could simulate a poor camera that this individual might have in his lab. A few static lines running throughout the entire video would help wonders along with a slight discoloration, or maybe even drop the saturation completely and make it black and white to up the contrast without muddying the colors. The reason I say to set down is because the blur that the low FPS gives is very distracting when one is trying to watch and listen at the same time.
New log entry. It's been far too long since one of these. So, I've been praying for 200 years now.
200 years. What race is the doctor supposed to be?
Not a single answer. I tried appealing to every single god known to me. I even sacrificed my own fucking arm. Why didn't they answer? Well, yeah, okay. To get technical, one of them did answer. The one who demanded my arm. I cut it off, overjoyed with finally having met someone who would help me. But nothing happened. Just laughter. Mocking laughter. I was made a fool by some dastardly deity of trickery and pain.
Dastardly deity of trickery and pain is a great line. I absolutely love this line.
This is it. Gods still exist. Gods have to have souls, right?
He had to sacrifice his arm in order to receive an answer, and received none in the process. This creates a lot of anger and disheartens our main character to great ends, which would cause anyone to slip into a maddening state for sure. But the 200 years comes back up again. Why wouldn't he create a data log entry for 200 years that he was exhausting his research into finding answers from the gods? How has he had provisions to keep his body sustained for that long? One would run out of perishable items while hiding in a small bunker for that long. I guess his race could allow him to live on nothing at all, but if that were the case, then why not leave the bunker in the first place? Is he immortal? Does he have a garden down there where he can survive for thousands of years using magical soil that doesn't require sunlight or a proper pH balance?
Gods have to have souls, right?
Okay, this is good. It's a great way of continuing the points of using souls as a power source that you brought up in the second data log entry, and twist the thoughts of the character from asking the gods for permission and using souls as a power source to using those very gods' souls instead. I like that. It's taking something from an earlier part and growing it into something greater. This kind of storytelling keeps us viewers engaged in what is unfolding in front of our very eyes.
New log entry. As you can see, I managed to regrow my arm. I still hate that god thing, whatever it was, but the good thing is that I can now make much more gestures. Many more gestures? We're not sure. I mean, I'm not really sure. Log entry end.
How did he regrow his arm? A simple explanation would have satisfied me. Magic would probably be out of the question due to the fact that the character seems to be scientifically focused. A machine? How'd he get the power source to fuel the machine that grew his arm back? Where did he get the materials from for the machine? If it wasn't a machine, then how? It wasn't a god because he said that he still hates that god thing, which tells me that due to the informality of knowing what exactly to title the god as, he has made no further contact with it. Also, did he say gestures? I'm pretty sure that's the line. Many more gestures, but it was slightly difficult to understand. This log entry could have been slightly longer with a possible deeper dive into what the god is. If this is set within a D&D universe, then you could drop little hints in there for the D&D fanatics to decipher which god it was. Also, if you had made it to where the same god had given the arm back, then you could have created a cool little story about how the main character managed to trick the god into doing that, or how the god had managed to convince the main character into trusting him.
Log entry! The machine is soon complete. It turned out much bigger than I originally planned, but it's working! But there's still no power source. Wait, if I used that machine to bring back my race, I could bring back the other people too, right? Yeah, we could just use their souls up now and bring them back later. It's perfect!
So, he managed to complete the machine that he is designing to bring back the dead. If he has no power source, then how could he know that it is working? That is a minor nitpick though. That's not really a big deal. To recap this log entry, he has finished the construction of the machine that is designed to use souls as power to bring the specific souls of his own race back to the land which he lives. The souls belong to those other races that survived whatever created this Armageddon. So in a way, by entry 5, our main character has become the thing that he hated at the beginning. This truly works with the title of the video, as we watch this single man's descent into madness. Even though he has every intention to bring back those he kills for his machine's power source, he hasn't thought enough ahead, and doesn't seem to care to put too much more thought than he has to anyway, which is how a narcissistic madman would act. I like it.
Quick log entry. I started completing my machine, and I added a device to it that would suck up all the souls of creatures dying, well, let's say within a certain vicinity of it.
He has started completing his machine, but I thought it was almost complete in the last entry. He created an extension to it that expands the radius of its soul-sucking ability. That's all the information that we received in this one. Honestly, this entry could have been left out, and it would have aided the flow of the story much better. You had hinted at gods having souls earlier, so we didn't need to know that you created an addition that could expand the reach. I, as a viewer, already assumed that this was the case. Let's take a quick break before the next entry to talk about ambience. Later, you drop in some background noise to add to the element of storytelling, but I feel as though there should have been sounds in the background of all of these entries. Nothing distracting or anything, but enough to give us an extra sense of the world and events that this character is living in right now. The first log entry could have had faint sounds of explosions or slight rumbles as the invasion is still going on and the last of the race are dying. From that point on, a soft sound of wind or water dripping would have sufficed. Or, if you didn't want to break the illusion of being in an impenetrable bunker, then you could have added a hum sound from the machine running somewhere. The hum could have gotten louder as the machine that the character was making was closer and closer to completion.
Great! Fucking great! The range was pathetic! Or at least judging by the amount of souls flowing in. Or perhaps just not enough people died up there. I have an idea. I could use these souls I'd already gathered to release their energy into the ground, creating a minor earthquake, and ripples of energy would flood the earth, and my bunker would be safe, since it's absolutely impenetrable. Perfect! There they come streaming in. Their painful cries go through mark and skin, but they are better than eternal silence, I suppose.
So, I was under the understanding that you were sucking the souls out of the living. This was partially my fault for making assumptions, but the concept of sucking souls from those who were dying could have been more descriptively explained earlier on, so that I could feel as though I was part of the story as well. Now, forgetting that due to the fact that it could have just been me missing the point of the machine, the mad scientist explains that he has an idea. Not that he had an idea, but that he has an idea. He seemingly comes up with the idea while recording his log entry. So why does the machine start implementing the idea at the same time that it occurs to the character? Is the machine symbiote now? If so, then that should have been explained and the character would have reacted differently when the earthquake happened. Also, you could have added a slight camera shake effect to the clip to emphasize the earthquake a bit more, creating a believability to the world that he's in. I like that he is willing to create an earthquake to massacre all the living in order to power his machine. I like that he goes with the idea with no restraint, which is the opposite of his reaction to the concept of using souls at the beginning. He's not only willing to use souls with no feelings of conflict to his morality, but he's willing to rip the souls from the bodies by murdering countless people in order to produce the power for his machine.
New log entry! I've realized that shooting the soul energy sideways, instead of just up or downwards, will let us sort of, teleport. I just shoot a beam in front of us like a concentrated blast that rips us all into space-time, and a wider blast backwards that propels us forwards. You know, physics! It's perfect! We could gather so many souls! And if we find a volcano, I love how earthquakes adapt with those. Additionally, minor complaint. The souls just won't shut up. We told them many times already that they should just quit whining. We'll resurrect them afterwards anyways. Cry babies.
Now, earlier he mistakenly said we and then corrected it to I. Now he's saying we without even an attempt at correcting himself. This really creates an intrigue as to who else is with him. Is it the devious god that talked him into cutting his arm off? Is it the machine? Is it some kind of split personality disorder that he's developing from all the time in isolation underneath the ground in his bunker? So anyway, he's shifting the machine to aim straight instead of up in physics and all that. The real point of this entry is that his descent into madness has caused him to care more about collecting souls for his machine than saving his race. This is good. This also lets me know that an external force is altering his course of action. He is slowly turning into a puppet for something much more powerful than him. Again, I'm unsure if it's the god, machine, or some other external force. On a lighter note, I had a pretty big chuckle when he said that the souls won't shut up, and then they stopped. That's hilarious.
Okay, we've gotten a lot of souls now, and they are very loud and annoying. I can't stand it anymore. If you don't shut up, we won't resurrect even a single one of you bastards. The cries are only going louder. Oh God!
The sound effects of the souls are a nice touch. This is where videos like this can truly shine as far as receiving things that you normally wouldn't in an audio-only format. That's all I have for this one. The entire point to this was to show that plans have gone awry, and you did just that. Now, I tried to find a spot in the script earlier to touch on this, but couldn't find one until now, so I'll mention it here. Your editing software is inferior for what you are trying to do with it. Sure, it's not a bad program, but it's designed more for picture album videos or family photos and family videos than it is for what you need it for. I'm assuming that you're using it because you're on a tight budget and it's free, but I have an editing program for you that is also free and has recently stepped up to compete with other industry standards like Final Cut Pro and Adobe Premiere. Davinci Resolve is an amazing program. I actually switched from Adobe Premiere Pro to this one and haven't regretted the switch. Your laptop could run it with no problem. You'll just need to optimize media so that your playback won't be jittery. You can find tons of tutorials on how to properly use the program here on YouTube. It is a lifesaver. Your workflow will speed up, and the features that you get with the free version are amazing. I'm incredibly shocked that it gives you so much for free. Anyway, just trust me on this. Try it and I promise you that you'll never look back.
Okay, we've invented an ear muffler. Not that we'll need it. We think we've gone deaf. Why would we resurrect these worthless creatures anyways? We are all that matter. This is about us. The injustice that was dealt to us, not them. They are so numerous. We have nothing to complain about. A couple thousand of them missing. Whiny crybabies. They're so whiny.
He invented an ear buffer, which I can only assume would be the earmuffs upon his head. But how does that affect the lab's computer microphone? Shouldn't we still be hearing the souls screaming? Maybe he should have invented a noise cancellation vault to explain why the computer isn't picking up the noises. You say, why would he resurrect these worthless creatures anyway? Who is he? His arrogance has expanded to the point of purely excusing genocide, which would make sense in the perspective of someone who has gone completely insane.
The item is complete. it turned out to be a necklace with some kind of inky black stuff. I have no idea what it does. Isn't that funny?
The item turned out to be some kind of necklace with inky black stuff. I thought he was inventing a machine to resurrect his race. I thought that was the entire point of these entry vlogs. Did the machine malfunction? Did the machine break? Is he still using the machine to murder other races in order to receive fuel? Where did this item come from? What gave him the idea for the item? How did he make the item? Also, where did the 101 log entries go that were in between the last one and this one? Did they hold the information that I want?
Someone has invaded our bunker. Luckily, we spiked it with traps and golems in anticipation of this. We always knew this would happen. We're prepared. They won't get us.
How many years have gone by for this number? Is this even a number in Roman numerals? I'm just assuming that the main character is the one inputting the numbers for the log entries, and giving the insanity that he's showing during the entry. That could very well be what's happening. Someone invaded the bunker, but we spiked it with traps and golems. Again, who is we? Who or what else is in the bunker with him? If he's conjuring golems, then I don't think the entity within the bunker with him is of his own imagination. That is, if the golems and traps aren't a part of his deteriorating sanity. It could be that none of what he's saying is real in the first place, but that wouldn't explain the sounds we've heard to back up his claims of the earthquake or the screaming souls. This ends the log entries and, therefore, ends the story. The acting is very well done. It came off a bit community college at times, but there's nothing wrong with that in this kind of format. Also, the voice that you used for the mad scientist was a bit shrill at times, which made it difficult for me to concentrate on what he was saying because my brain continuously tried to block the high-pitched squeals out. The voice came off kind of similar to that of a villain in the 1980s Saturday morning cartoons. That's not a bad thing at all, really. It was campy enough to not be taken completely seriously and carried the story forward, allowing the viewer to have the character in their mind. Your emoting was good, as the swaying progressively gets worse and worse as his mind slips. I do wish you explained who he was with a bit more detail. It left me wondering, but not necessarily in a good way. I left the episode wondering if you even knew who he was. Was he the god that talked the man into cutting his arm off? Was he the machine? What happened to the machine? What's the deal with the necklace that came out of left field? I'm sure the necklace was a part of the D&D campaign that you had set up for your friends, but for it to make sense to the viewer, it should have been better set up and explained. Log after log was about this machine and saving your unnamed race that can live for hundreds and hundreds of years, and then boom, necklace. I only harp on the ambiguous nature of the entries because if you had taken your time to properly drop hints in there, it would have left enough crumbs of data for the viewer to be able to put the rest of the story together. I know my criticism of this story seemed too harsh, and I may be coming off as nitpicky, but I promise you that it's only that way because I see pure potential for something great for your channel. You mentioned to me that you want your channel to be filled with narration of stories that you have written along with videos like these sprinkled in. I think that this is a fantastic idea, and I absolutely think that you have both the talent and the ability to make it happen. It's going to take a lot of hard work and learning as you go, but just keep at it. The biggest pointers that I can give is to purchase a Reaper license for audio and a cheap 1080p webcam or just use your phone for the visuals. Then get Davinci Resolve and learn it. Once you have the proper setup, you'll be able to sit down and think your shots through before you begin. Create or purchase a green screen eventually if you're mainly going to be filming in the same room. This will open up a lot more options for where you want your characters to be and would allow you to position your shots so that you can get multiple angles of the characters that you are playing. I have to be honest, I'm incredibly grateful that you reached out to me for a review on your video, because I feel as though I'm a small part of something that is going to be so much greater. Your character may have had a descent into madness, but with enough work, your channel could be ascending to the heavens. Thank you.